As many of you probably know, there are basically 3 types of videos I make on this channel. Reviews, informative content, and basically everything else. And when it comes to the videos that are meant to tell the audience something, such as facts or information, it can be a bit difficult at times, or as Bingo puts it, difficult. Because as much as I try to be as perfect and accurate as possible, mistakes do happen. Sometimes I can't find a good source on something, sometimes the source just has outright wrong information, or more often than not, my brain just forgets and basically does something really dumb. But with that said, I felt like it would be fun to poke some fun at myself and point out some of the dumbest mistakes I've made in my videos, not only as a way to mock my failures, but also maybe learn from them, and hopefully fix some inaccurate info that some of you may still believe. So with that said, let's begin! Alright, well, I got it to float like halfway, so I'm only half disappointed. To kick things off, let's start with one of my most successful videos, the first Bluey iceberg. But I think we all know that lots of views does not equal perfection, especially here on YouTube. For instance, I mentioned that blue heelers were a species of dog. She is based off of a species of dog known as the blue heeler, a cattle dog that is native to Australia. No! This is incorrect, as they are actually a breed of dog, but all dogs in themselves are actually one single species. Or at least I think that's how it works. Also, I referred to the recurring long dog Easter egg as the sausage dog for some weird reason. I don't even know why, but it's actually called the long dog. And then I proceeded to get annoyed that everyone was correcting me over it and trying to help me. Yeah, I was, not as nice as I am now, not gonna lie. And possibly worst of all, I also mentioned that the first Bluey pilot was made in 2014, and the second one was made in 2016, which is beyond inaccurate. As it turns out, the two were actually made in 2016 and 17 respectively. Not really a major issue, but I do feel bad since it now seems pretty obvious that my math wasn't adding up. And I've heard some people genuinely believe that a 2014 pilot exists now thanks to my video. So if you thought there was a 2014 pilot, I'm here to say that it's not true, at least to my current knowledge. Also, I pronounced the initials for the Australian Recording Industry Association as ARIA, when I got a few comments mentioning that I should just pronounce it as ARIA. Not really sure how much of an actual difference that makes, but there you go I guess. Also, towards the end, I mentioned a common theory that Muffin and Socks were autistic. And while this idea is very controversial, and one I personally don't believe is true, I think I could have done a much better job explaining the reasoning behind it. Because I know looking back that while it wasn't my intention to offend anyone, especially as a person who lives with and knows people on the spectrum, that my reasonings may have not painted those with autism in the best light, and have not been explained well overall, because at the time, I was pretty inexperienced with making videos and writing, and compared to now, knew very little about autism. But now that I know a lot more about the topic, I feel as if my poor writing may have come off as a bit uneducated, and even inconsiderate by accident. So for those who I may have offended by mistake, I just want to say that I'm very sorry. And it is something that I still do feel bad for, even if it was a genuine mistake and something I don't believe in. However, from one iceberg to another, I tried to fix these mistakes in my second iceberg video, but in true B&B fashion, I proceeded to also mess up in my new video. It's a never-ending cycle. As when discussing the duck cake, I mentioned it as if the idea was created by Bluey, when in fact, this cake design had actually existed for years, and was definitely not created by the show. Although, based on the posts you see online, I think a lot of people do make it now because they saw it on Bluey, but they weren't the ones who invented it. Alright, so I'm currently editing the video, and I just realized that in the second iceberg, I never actually said that Bluey invented the duck cake, which is what I originally thought I did, especially looking back at what the comments said. But rewatching the actual video, I don't think I even mentioned where the cake actually came from, whether it was from Bluey or something else. So I'm not really sure if this counts as an actual mistake, but I definitely should have mentioned where it originated from, which I didn't do here. Anyways, back to the video. Also, I mentioned that a news article used fan art when, in reality, one of the images was actually early concept art when the show was still being developed, and therefore official. And finally, I also mentioned that some characters had different colored pupils, when it's actually their irises that are different colors, not the pupils. Sorry, I didn't really learn how eyes worked until recently, but thankfully now I know better. And that really says a lot because my aunt is actually an eye doctor, so yeah, that's kind of embarrassing. And apparently, even though they're based on opinion, I couldn't even be smart enough to get my reviews right either. Because in my video discussing Bluey figures, which I often erroneously call figurines, which I also get comments about that, I was curious about the things on the side of Socks's head, which I didn't know at the time was actually just extra tufts of fur. Not really a huge mistake, but I get a lot of comments about it, so I decided to mention it anyways. But yeah, so much for being observant on that one. Good job, BNB. You're so clever. Bluey and Bingo will never hold a torch to Chad Rusty and his motorbike. And in my video ranking every Bluey character, I referred to the character Busker as the Busker, when his official name is just, well, Busker. So in that case, is it just like his stage name? His nickname? Or did his parents actually name him that, assuming he was gonna get into music? Yeah, I think I'm looking too deep into it, but amazing character design though. Alright, so at this point in the video, I somehow lost all of the recordings from here, so I literally had to re-record the entire rest of the video. Kind of poetic because this video is all about mistakes I've made, and now I made a mistake making it. But if the audio is a little different or off, that's mainly why, and I apologize for that. However, with that said, we come to the big one. We have my wildly popular video about Bluey's censorship, which was wildly loaded with mistakes and inaccuracies, to the point that I even had to respond by making an update video because I felt that bad about it. But to start, the Bluey YouTube channel isn't actually blocked in Australia. I'm not sure exactly how it works, but I used a VPN on Australian settings to test it, and I had no issue accessing the channel. Although I have heard from some users that they can access it, but you just can't view the videos. So if you're from Australia, let me know how it works for you. And as if that wasn't bad enough, I couldn't even get the literal thumbnail correct, as it implied that the burping scene was in the Australian version, when in fact, it was actually in the US version, at least based on my personal experience. Because I know there's like a bunch of different releases and it gets really complicated. But yeah, based on what I mentioned, the thumbnail should actually be the other way around. And to be honest, I think there was a few more mistakes I made, but somebody took the comments off the video, and it wasn't me, so now I have no clue what people wrote, including their corrections. Thanks a lot. But from censors to accidents, let's talk about Bluey goofs. Now, to be fair, most of the things I mentioned in the video were obviously mistakes, but ironically, I made a mistake myself because I forgot to mention the use of smear frames. Now for those who don't know, smear frames are basically these frames animators use to make characters move more smoothly, and as the name implies, parts of the character are often stretched or distorted to make it work. However, although they do look quite weird and out of place, these are not technically goofs because they are actually intentional. And while I now of course know about these frames, I wasn't aware of them at the time and didn't separate between the two. But moving along, in my surprisingly popular video covering fake Bluey cartoons, Werewolf Family x Bluey, Bluey Animation, Sad Story, Daily Life of Bluey, Bluey Anime, I mentioned that a lot of the videos used content from the popular game, Friday Night Funkin', but I forgot to mention Learning with Pibby, which if you don't know is a cartoon by Adult Swim that was actually present in a lot of the videos. In fact, looking back, most of these videos had a lot more to do with Pibby than actual FNF. And lastly, in my What Every Bluey Character Says About You video, I said that if you like Muffin, you're too young and you are writing gibberish in my comments. Which is incorrect, because anyone of any age can like Muffin, but with that said, I was actually right the whole time because this video was obviously not meant to be serious, which seemingly nobody picked up on. And the comment section is, you guessed it, literally 99% gibberish. So I rest my case. Also, fun fact, YouTube recommends videos more often if they get more comments. So by commenting gibberish on that video and going against my initial orders, you actually helped it go viral. I'm so clever. Well, you know, except for the fact that this video is all about dumb and obvious mistakes I made. But I'm sure we can all ignore that, right? And oh yeah, I almost forgot. The biggest mistake of them all. This channel existing. Because BMB is such a cringeworthy creator. Hey, I can hear you from here. You better not be going off script again. Well, you know what? I don't even care about the script anymore. Forget your dumb script. I'm gonna say what I want. No you won't. Because BMB's content is, well, how do I put this? Simply garbage. Don't make me come over there, Hideaki. His content is always about the same old show. He never does anything original. Hideaki Shikoku, get your butt over here or else I'm gonna... And his voice always sounds so weird. I don't even know how people can even listen to this guy. And for what? A review or video nobody asked for? I mean, don't you remember the time he posted the video about... Wait, no!
We can edit that bit out, right?
So there it is. Every single mistake and inaccuracy I have ever made in my videos. Or at least I think that's all of them. I already know I probably missed a couple, which in itself is a mistake. And who am I kidding? It's not like I'm gonna stop making mistakes after this, because as much as I try to be perfect, things do slip through once in a while. And with this, I'm hoping to show that as popular as my videos are, even I can make mistakes sometimes, and that if you have ever made embarrassing mistakes before, it's perfectly okay. We all do. But as long as we try to improve and continue learning, there is nothing wrong with it. And oh yeah, this is kind of late, but thank you so much for 50,000 subscribers. Just wow. 50,000 people from all over the world willing to push that big red button and follow my crazy journey. It's mind-blowing. And I know I've said this before, but I still remember when I made my channel and had 3 subs. Not 3,000, not 300, just 3 in total. And since then, it's just been a crazy ride. Because, you know, I've been stressed, I've been pushed to my limits, and I've even been harassed, targeted, and threatened because of my interests. And to be fair, this channel isn't for everyone, but for those who have supported me, even through my absolute worst days, and picked me up when I was down, ready to give up on everything in life. Thank you. Without this channel, I would be nowhere near as happy as I am now, and every day, it is an honor to be able to entertain you all, and actually have a purpose. Something that honestly isn't easy for me. You, the viewer, and everyone in this amazing community gave me something I could never imagine achieving 5 years ago. Because with the help of you all, I am basically living my dream at this point. Ever since at a young age, I always wanted to be a YouTuber of all things, but never believed I could actually do it. But now, thanks to all of you, the impossible has seemingly happened. I get to do something I love, not only as an amazing hobby, but even as a job to an extent, because I do actually get paid for this stuff. But with that said, no amount of money could ever compare to the amount of support and sense of belonging I've found in this community. Without all of you, I probably wouldn't have found the motivation to still be here alive today. So with everything said and done, just from the bottom of my heart, thank you for literally everything. And I hope to see you all soon. Goodbye everyone, and thank you again and again for everything. And please, if there's anything you do, have a wonderful day. You completely deserve it. And also, don't worry about me. BNB and I are actually really good friends despite what we say to each other. Right, BNB? Well, I'm sure he agrees.